Have you ever wondered what it's like to live in one of the most exclusive neighborhoods in the whole country? Today, I'm gonna share with you a little bit about the Sky Farm neighborhood in Hillsborough. And then after that, I'm gonna take you guys inside my newest listing, 3,300 square feet. It's 6/10 of an acre lot, one level. I think you're really gonna love it. The landscaping is absolutely outstanding. And join me every Monday at 5 p.m. for my latest videos. So today I'm gonna share with you a little bit about Sky Farm, which is one of the most sought after neighborhoods in Hillsborough. So Hillsborough is a town of about 10,000 people and it's very exclusive. It's very expensive to buy here. It's one of the most expensive zip codes in the entire country. But we're gonna do a deep dive and I'm gonna share with you a really sweet property that I have on the market. So first I'm gonna give you a little bit of an overview of the Sky Farm neighborhood, what it's like to live here, what the topography is like. And don't worry if you're not thinking about buying a Sky Farm, but you are curious about Hillsborough or nearby Burlingame, this might be interesting to you as well, or you're just curious about this whole area. So let's take a look. You can kind of see the whole neighborhood kind of starts up by 280 and then we head east down the street. So this is a little bit of a busier street, of course. We get some traffic through here, but I do want to show you what a street is like in the Sky Farm neighborhood. We have some bigger homes, some smaller homes, and by smaller homes, I'm not talking like cute little bungalows, we're talking about like still 3,000 square feet. But you're gonna get some really wide space here. Now in Hillsborough, you probably already know, there's no sidewalks here, which is kind of the charm of Hillsborough, right? There's even a coffee table book about Hillsborough called No Sidewalks Here. And well, does that sound a little elite? I mean, I guess it does, but that's what the book's called. There's a coffee table book about Burlingame called City of Trees. Anyways, you're gonna get just tons of trees and greenery and landscaping. You kind of in the background, you can hear a saw buzzing. We got a little traffic. Of course, can you get a really quiet street in Hillsborough? The answer is yes. So in the Sky Farm neighborhood, this neighborhood is not all flat. You can kind of see, this is a little bit of a busier street here. We're on Sky Farm right now, and this goes all the way up to 280. But then where we are here, very close by, we'll get to, that's very close to the Burlingame Country Club, which is kind of a funny name because it's in Hillsborough, but there's a story there. But just kind of take a look at this house across the street here. This just kind of gives you a quick idea of how far the homes are set back from the street. This is a really nice two-story home with a brick facade. And a brick facade, that's just a facade out here because we're in earthquake country. Brick is not used as a structural element like it is in the East Coast. But in Hillsborough, most lots are gonna be at least half an acre. And so you're getting tons of space out here. Now, if we were doing a walking tour in most towns of the peninsula, we would just be walking. You'd see all the houses behind me. And obviously we want to respect everyone's privacy here. But just to give you an idea, like standing on the street, you have this beautiful Spanish style home all the way back with like this wall of trees. It might be kind of hard to see, but there must be like 30 trees back there, just completely like enveloping and cocooning the house with a really cool motor court. Anyways, the home that I'm gonna show you in a little bit is just across the way, but first we're gonna check out a little bit about the neighborhood. So this year we've had 45 sales. Last year we had about 96 sales and we're shooting this in June, so we're about halfway through the year. So it looks like we're gonna have another crazy low inventory year. Last year was actually the second fewest numbers of sale countywide and in Hillsborough since the MLS has been keeping track of data in the year 2000, and 2023 was the lowest. So we are on track for another really low inventory year. But what is interesting is right now there's about 45 homes for sale in Hillsborough. And in June, that's kind of a lot of houses. So if you're a buyer and you're watching this and you're looking at these price points, it depends on what you're looking for, but we do see a lot of people at the higher end put homes on the market that I would say they're like active on the market, but they're actively not selling, right? They are, trying some ambitious number. I mean, everyone has different reasons why they sell their real estate, but I feel like sometimes at the higher end, you see a lot of homes come on the market and they basically just don't sell. And maybe there was expectations weren't set properly between the agent and the seller, or maybe the seller just wanted some massive number that was never gonna happen. So you tend to see that at the higher price points, like in Hillsborough, Atherton, Menlo Park. So of those 45 homes, not all those are gonna sell, because if they all were gonna sell, then that'd be the rest of the year. And there's always gonna be a lot of homes that come on the market this summer. And then the fall, kind of right after Labor Day, we see another huge bump in new listings. So a lot of these 45 homes, they're just not even gonna sell. So is what it is. All right, just kind of walking through the neighborhood. We're still on Sky Farm Drive. I would say let's take a look at this house, but that's the whole point. I want you to see how private a lot of these homes are from the street. I mean, yes, you can kind of walk in here and you got the house. But other than that, you have this green screen all in the front of the house. You're just not gonna see like 10 or 12 foot high hedges in other towns. So from a location perspective in Sky Farm, This goes all the way up to 280, but the easternmost part of the neighborhood kind of backs up to the Burlingame Country Club, which is kind of funny. It's in Hillsborough, nothing Burlingame about it, but that is the name. It's a very private and exclusive golf course and club. And then there's many houses that kind of around the perimeter of the club. And we are just a few blocks away from that. So that's kind of what makes this location pretty special. Well, this is a cool house. Worth pointing out, this is a standing seam roof. It's a metal roof on the top of this kind of one level, super modern house. I just love that. And we're not gonna walk all the way down here, but just to kind of give you an idea, street goes all the way down and then it kind of drops. So basically the topography kind of starts up by 280, which is very high, and then it drops and then gets all the way down to El Camino, where you're at that point about 15 or 20 feet above sea level. And then from this location, kind of in the lower part of Sky Farm, you could actually walk to downtown Burlingame from here if you really wanted to. I mean, it's gonna be, I'd call it more like weekend walkable, but you for sure could bike. And drive time, you're probably looking at like 4 to 5 minutes. So it's really not that big a deal to get this kind of privacy in Hillsborough where you're still close to everything. That's kind of what you're paying the big bucks for. So if you're thinking about making a move and downsizing out of a big home like the one I'm about to show you, or looking for a bigger house, I'd love to chat with you. All my contact info is in the description below. And now let's check out this killer house. I think you're really gonna like it. It's very unusual, but this type of floor plan is not rare in Hillsborough, but this location's really good. And you can kind of see over here, there's a massive motor court that goes all the way around the backside of the garage. I'll show you that in a little bit. And that's kind of what makes this nice, because especially in Hillsborough, the topography is a huge part of value, right? So basically, if you're on a flatter lot and it's completely flat, then it could be multiple 7 figures more expensive just for that lot, versus if it's a home kind of perched and then it kind of, there's a huge hill in the back or it drops off, that's gonna drop value. So I think you'll be impressed with this. So let's go inside and take a look. You can kind of see there's some pretty good landscaping here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 redwood trees. I mean, like if you look in Burlingame, which is just a 3-minute drive that way, you're not gonna find a lot like this with this kind of redwood trees here. This is pretty special. Roof is in relatively good shape, not super old. I really like the color scheme that we have here. This was selected by my stager and designer as part of getting the home ready to go on the market, and I thought he did a great job. You'll see some things are a little bit more dated, but some things are also really thoughtfully updated. So it's kind of nice to have some good options here. All right, let's pop in here. Personally, I'm a huge fan of these kind of formal entryways. I feel like my grandparents would have called this like a foyer. Maybe people still do, I don't know. After 20 years of doing this, I've never heard like a home buyer say, oh yeah, look at that beautiful foyer. So anyways, I do like having this formal space here. I do think it's really nice to have a separate coat closet right when you walk in. And this is like the size of what you would see for many just like bedroom closet just right here in the front. So this is a pretty large space, and I love when you walk in immediately, you can look all the way to the back of this lot. So this lot is 6/10 of an acre, which is massive. It's about 27,000 square feet. So in Hillsborough, most lots are gonna be at least half an acre, so about 20,000-ish square feet. 21,000 an acre is about 43,560. Well, not about, that's what it is. And so here you kind of have this big area in the back, and then it kind of drops down, but you still have a lot of usable space, which I'm gonna show you in a little bit. Basically, from an orientation standpoint, we have 3 bedrooms over here. We have something else here, which I think you're really gonna find interesting in a sec. And then we've got the rest of the house over here with another bedroom over there, and also like a TV room. So there's a lot of good things going on with this floor plan. Let's just kind of start in here though. So this is the largest room in the house. We can kind of call this the family room or living room. You have some pretty good high ceilings here. I love, you can kind of, if you take a look at all the detail work, there's a lot involved here for these beams. I think they just add a lot of character, and you'll see people put these even in new construction homes, not as a structural element, but just as a design element. I think that looks good. We actually replaced almost all the lighting in the house pre-sale. We replaced all the outlets and switches, which I think just is a lot cleaner. And we went with, on the outlets, the Decora line where there's no screws. So those are called the screws plates. I didn't know this when we built our house 4 years ago. I wasn't even aware of them, and they're only like $2 per outlet, but they look way better, and I probably should go in our house and swap those out. They just look clean. From here, we have a really good view of the back, which we'll get to in a sec, but I feel like this is an ideal place. You could have a TV up on the wall. We usually don't like to stage with TVs, but this is a perfect place for that, or in the other room there, which we're gonna go to. All right, let's go check out the bedroom wing of this house. And I love the floor plan because, like I was saying, you have kind of bedrooms on one side and you have the rest of the living space on another side. So down the hallway here, we have several bedrooms. This is the first bedroom. And the nice thing about Hillsborough is because these lot sizes are so big, when you just are here and you look out, sure, you can kind of see the street, and sure, you could see a car driving by, but you're gonna have a minimum of a 20, I think it's either 20 or 30 foot setback just from the street to the house itself. And we can see all those redwood trees right here, kind of see the roof of another house, but it's a nice vibe and pretty relaxing. And then check out the size of these closets. Like in my house, I've got like this much, well, it's walk-in, it's not bad. But anyways, this is cool though for like a guest bedroom, and then you've got all these built-ins here. I like that. All right, now walk over to the other bedroom here, and it's a pretty similar size, but just a little bit bigger because you have that closet space for the other room is here. And since it's in the corner, you're gonna get a lot more light in the corner. Now, when we kind of talk about window treatments, because you'll see that there's none on these windows. If it's a really high-end home, if it already has custom window treatments already, most of the time for the sale, they're removed and a lot of times discarded just because they're old and not as nice. It also lets in a lot more light from a marketing perspective, so we do that frequently. And then it also allows buyers to kind of customize whatever window treatments that they want. So you could either go with something more simple from Home Depot, and I think for like $100, they'll send someone out, they'll measure the house, and if you don't work with them, then they keep the $100, but if you do work with them, then they credit it towards whatever you do. And we did that at one house, and I was very happy with the experience. They have all the nice window treatments, Levelor, Hunter Douglas. You can do motorized, battery, all that. You can hardwire them in even. So there's a lot of different ways you can go. Or you can go more high-end, custom, which we've done too. And I think that makes sense if you're gonna be in the house for a really long time, and then you can kind of get the height, you can get blackout shades, you can have curtains, a lot of good ways that you can do that. Now let's pop into the primary suite area. Oh, and before I forget, this is the hall bath. Right here, there's another bath on the other side of the house, which is more for guests. So this is more services, like those two bedrooms over there. And then you have a little bit of a closet, which is cool. This is the primary bedroom here. Now, when you think about Hillsborough, and a lot of times people think like massive, but that's not really the case. A lot of these homes, they feel normal, they're larger square footage, but they're not like supersized or gaudy or over the top here. So this is the primary. I think it's really nice. We have a king size bed here. You have tons of light. Obviously we have these two lamps, but they're not even putting out any light right now. Someone could come in and upgrade this and add in canned lighting, or if they want to pop up the ceiling, that would not be a major project. It'd be some expense, of course, but that could allow even more light to come in. But just looking out, I can't wait to show you guys the backyard in a sec here, because I'm looking down at the pool. I can see someone's house like, I don't know, quarter mile away. It's about as private as you can get. All right, here we've got a ton of closet space. In here we have more closet space. Yeah, I mean, what do you expect for millions of dollars? I mean, like some closet with an island, like on cribs? No, I mean, at least you can walk in here. That's cool. And then you have a nice view looking out the back there. So you could come in, you get out of the shower, you're in a birthday suit, you could stand here like no one's gonna see you. So that's the nice thing about Hillsborough. Now, as we kind of walk over to this other part of the house, I do wanna show you this room here, which is one of my favorite features of the house. So this is a 4-bedroom plus an office. So this is the office. Looking out here at 2 Japanese maple trees. I think this is a really thoughtful floor plan, okay? And you guys know I wouldn't be telling you, like, if I thought something was average, I would just tell you it's average. I mean, sure, here you have a step down into the living room here from the foyer and also from this space. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of that step down, but it's not a big deal. Sure, it'd be, if the floor was flatter, that'd be cooler. Like this was a big design trend back in the, I think it was in the 70s, kind of making these family rooms that people spend a lot of time. I don't know what they were thinking back then. Maybe I need to look online to do a little bit more research. But I do think, seriously, this is a sweet spot for work from home to have 4 bedrooms, plus this office, plus this other den, which you're gonna see. I think there's a lot of positive that's going on here. I do like there's some cool built-ins over here as well. So what's nice about this house is it might not be totally perfectly updated, but it is absolutely move-inable. And it's really hard to find something in Hillsborough at this price point that is this move-inable. And again, what's nice is kind of from the main area, you can kind of branch off throughout the whole house. And here we've got a formal dining room. Now, there's a huge trend nowadays for open concept floor plans, which personally I'm a huge fan of, but I've had a few buyers recently say to me, you know, we actually want to have like a great room, but we don't want this huge open concept. We like to have formal space. And so for this house being a little over 3,300 square feet, it allows you to have some open space and also some more formal space like what we have here. Now on the other side is the kitchen. Oh, by the way, this light here, we just picked this out from Visual Comfort and also the sconces up here. I love the detail work from the lighting fixture. But Visual Comfort is a pretty cool spot if you're looking for ideas on where to get really beautiful lighting that's not like insanely expensive, but that's really high quality. We've done some Visual Comfort stuff at our house and I'm a huge fan. I also like here a little cool built-in here with like each little separate pane of glass. That's nice. All right, kitchen. This is more of a galley kitchen that opens up, so I wouldn't classify it necessarily as a galley kitchen. Normally some galley kitchens are a little bit more narrow and usually there's like another wall here, but in this case, this kind of shoots straight back, which I like. So we've got a 6-burner stove. We have a built-in refrigerator right here. And this is what's called panel ready. So when you buy a fridge like this, I think this brand is a Sub-Zero, I think, a KitchenAid. When you buy a fridge like this, you can either have stainless steel on there or you can get what's called panel ready. And then the cabinet maker can add in whatever is the cabinet material and then they just kind of affix it here. So this way it kind of all matches. And on brand new kitchens, sometimes you can't even see that there's a fridge there, just like a little knob or handle to pull and that's it. And it looks really sleek. Also have a warming drawer here for bread. And then of course the eat-in kitchen, which I think is pretty nice. I mean, obviously there's the dining room over there, but this is kind of where most people are gonna spend most of their time eating their meals. All right, before we pop over here, I wanna show you this side of the house, which I think, again, when I was talking about the floor plan, I think this is a fantastic floor plan because here we've got the 4th bedroom. I don't know about you, but I feel like this could be a great space for an au pair, for in-laws, for work from home. There's so many different ways that this space can be used really by anyone. And I think most people appreciate if there's 4 bedrooms having some together and one at the other end. And so there's so many different use cases here that I think really could satisfy what so many buyers are looking for. Now, you can see this, we have left this here because this is pretty custom to the space. Obviously someone might come in here and completely remove this and you can kind of see a little bit more light that comes in, but we did leave it. And then this kind of little stairs that go down to access the garage and all that, which we're gonna check out. All right, we're gonna come over here in a second and I'll show you what's going on, but first let me show you the TV room. This is cool. Again, we have the family room on the other side, just walk through the kitchen. We have a bunch of different built-ins in here, and this is not a massive space, but it feels totally cozy and appropriate. So you can kind of see here, we left the TV because it's perfectly sized. We have all the AV equipment, and this is a really nice built-in. So if you wanted to, you could remove this. You could remove the fireplace if you wanted, but again, it's, I think, pretty good for what it is. And then we've got some other cool built-ins here. If you're looking at doing new cabinetry in your house, cabinetry is not inexpensive. And so one way to drive cost higher, if you just want to keep spending money, is to do built-ins like this. So of course, a lot of homes don't have this. You just have a piece of furniture here and call it a day. But I feel like this adds a lot more warmth and character to the house to have these built-ins. And we have them in our house and we did pay for them, but I'm really glad that we did because it just feels like permanent. It feels solid. It feels like it's part of the house. And you even can look down here, you can kind of see the quarter round from the hardwood floors, kind of wraps all the way around, which I think is a nice touch. Plus you have the baseboards, of course. So you have the floor, quarter round, baseboard. Now we're gonna pop back over here and I wanna show you what else is attached to this amazing house. Oh, and then we have, I know I'm kind of a little scattered here, but separate laundry room. We have some Miele units here. These are the European ones. If you've kind of heard of Miele, they are famous for their dishwashers. They're the highest rated dishwashers out there on Wirecutter and Consumer Reports. We have one, we've been very happy with it. It hasn't died after 2 years, which is a huge win. We have for 6 years, we went for 4 years, and they're very easy to maintain. So I like having this whole separate space here. You could also consider putting maybe a butcher block or something on top, so that way it's easy to kind of fold your clothes. And then I think this is cool. I might consider removing this and then maybe putting a bar up here where you can take out any delicate clothes and let them kind of dry up top. I think it's kind of convenient. And then of course over here, you have a sink. So I think having a utility sink in a laundry room is quite nice. A lot of times in smaller homes, I mean, you could go spend the similar price point of this house in a flatter neighborhood in Burlingame, for example, and you're not gonna be getting this kind of space as you will here in Hillsborough. Price per square foot in Hillsborough, we're looking, depending on where we are, but you could get as high as like $1,500 to $1,600 a square foot and go up from there. But a lot of the sweet spot is more in the like $1,100 to $1,300 a square foot, kind of depending on where you are in Hillsborough. Let's check out the garage. And I will show you do have a full bath right here, which is probably a little hard to see, but this totally serves the 4th bedroom over there, and then any guest can kind of use this as well. All right, check this out. Let's get this garage door open. You kind of hear a little squeaks, but that's okay. We've left this for the next buyer to kind of choose. So this is a 3-car garage, and most of the homes that I sell are not as expensive or big as this. You know, I do a lot of transactions in the $1.5 to $3.5, $4 million range. You know, that's where most of the inventory is. And so most of the time there where you're seeing garages, in the marketing, they might say, oh, it's like a 2-car garage, but really if you have an SUV, it's like a 1-car garage. In this case, this is a true 3-car garage. You can see this is super wide. You've got all these built-ins over here. I might consider perhaps painting those out. We just have the floor painted. Someone could come in though and spend more and they could epoxy the floor, which is kind of personally what I would do. But the epoxy color is kind of personal, so we've left that for the next buyer. Over here, we've got some of the mechanicals. First is just a little storage closet. And then here we can see the hot water heater. I believe this is a 50-gallon. And this was put in 2019. Most hot water heaters will last around 10 years. Oh, and this also has a recirculating pump, which is really cool. That is right here. Highly recommend if you're watching this and you already own a house, consider putting one in. If you haven't yet bought a house and you have crawl space underneath, adding the recirculating pump is fantastic. So basically what that does is make sure that you always have warm water in the pipe, so that whenever you turn on the faucet, hot water, you're getting instant hot water. Otherwise, without it, as soon as you turn on the hot, you're still gonna get cold, and then you have to wait 20, 30 seconds to get hot water, which of course is a first world issue, but I think it is really nice. Most people want hot water when they turn on the hot water and they don't want to have to waste it. Now, what you could do is replace this with a tankless hot water heater, mount that here or outside, and that way you don't have to have 50 gallons of water that is always being heated with basically, there's a natural gas, there's a flame underneath here and it's heating all this up. Now you do wanna flush this out once a year by adding a hose in and then draining it out. No one really does it, but you should. That prolongs the life and it's a lot better. Otherwise you get kind of calcium buildup in the bottom of the hot water heater, and then that makes it, leads it to be a lot less efficient. All right, now I wanna show you guys the outside of this house. Now this motor court here is like totally awesome. So a few years ago, my clients put in all of this, and I think it was at the time, I think they spent about 50 grand, but I'm sure if you do this today, it could easily be 70 or 80,000. I wouldn't be surprised with how expensive things are. This is a lot of pavers, and they did a really good job, but it's nice. Even though you've got the 3-car garage here in Hillsborough, because this is such a flat lot, not all lots are this flat. But I'm kind of not really a need to park your cars in here when you can easily park a car in front there, which is what I've done like for the times I've been here. Just easy pull in and then you can pull out, or you can park multiple cars right here. But like, so let's say for example, you're into basketball. This would be a great place to put a basketball hoop here. We're not talking full court, but like a legit half court. I would absolutely, like if you buy this house, please invite me over to play some basketball with you, okay? Like I like playing horse. This is pretty handy. Now, if we take a look at the outside of the house, this is wood siding. And then down here you can kind of see the concrete foundation. I love looking at foundations where they're just clean, there's no cracking, It's super simple. I mean, I'm already getting excited. And then just check this out here too. Now my clients are actually from Scandinavia, and yeah, I hadn't really noticed this, but of course in Scandinavia, everyone likes to have wood that they can burn. And for me, like being into camping, I'm an Eagle Scout, and this just looks romantic to me, just having all this wood here all ready to go. All right, now that we're gonna pop into the side yard, you're gonna kind of see how special I feel that this yard is. We have a massive deck, and then right here, this is the laundry room. Over here is kind of the kitchen and the breakfast room. And then this here was the family room, and the primary bedrooms all the way over there. So I love this. Just kind of take a look around, soak in the beauty of this beautiful day in Hillsborough, California. I feel like extremely grateful to be standing here at this moment in time, talking to you guys and sharing with you a little bit about our little slice of heaven and paradise, because I read the news, you know, on a note of optimism, we all have a lot to be grateful for. And to be standing here looking at this beautiful property and these huge oak trees back here and the redwoods over there, and I believe these might be cypress trees on the sides. So a lot of attention to detail went into the landscaping of this property. Now keep in mind, if you buy a home like this, from a maintenance cost perspective, it is not inexpensive. Okay, so you could easily be spending, you can kind of see the pool over there, you could spend $300 a month to $800-900 a month just taking care of a pool and heating a pool and all that. I'm just not talking about this house in general, but just pool cost. I sold another home last year in Hillsborough as the listing agent on, and my clients told me their cost was between $200 and $1,000 a month for the pool. Obviously depends on the season and the heating costs. You could get solar thermal heating and put it on your roof. It's kind of like solar panels, except basically the sun just hits the water that's up there, and then it flows down, and it's about 80 degrees, so then it gets heated up to whatever final temp that you want, something between 70 and 80 degrees. And then for landscaping a property of this size, you're probably looking, I mean, it depends. You have two ways to go. You can either get a mow and blow, and that's gonna be, you know, a few $100s a month. But if you really wanna maintain the property correctly, you could easily be spending probably $600-700 a month up to $1,000 a month, right? If you're wanting like a team to come by, 3-4 people once a week. That's kind of what I would do if I had a property like this, because you have a lot of trees here. You want to make sure that you're keeping space away from the house, from the trees. Obviously, you can see a lot of trees around there, but you want to have a minimum of 5 feet of defensible space. We all sadly know what happened in Palisades and in Altadena earlier this year, which was a total tragedy. And so that's just kind of at the forefront of my mind as I talk to you, as I talk to my buyers about how do you be thoughtful in this time while still having greenery. So you want to make sure that you're watering everything, right? Anything that's dry or yellow is going to be way more combustible than stuff that is lush or green. All right, let's pop down here, and you know, what could someone do back here? I mean, I think it's perfect as is. We're seeing a huge trend now into rectangular swimming pools for obvious reasons. So here, especially from a child safety perspective, there are little holes you can see here and another hole here all the way around. So there's a fence system that you can add in that's mesh that is really good for child safety. For pool covers, if you have a rectangular pool, then you can just have a motor at one end, and then it kind of pulls the pool cover all the way out, and then you theoretically can walk on top of them. You should never do that, of course. That's not a good idea, but they are strong enough usually to support someone's weight. Yeah, that's a terrible idea, but you kind of get the point. That's why it's good to have a rectangular pool if you can. Now, if we kind of walk around there, I'm gonna show you guys this lot. This is not it, okay? This is all the pool equipment is right here. And it's also nice, right? You have a lot of sun, you have a lot of shade. Just take a quick look back at the house here just to give you some space on context for kind of how far away we are. See, the roof is really not that old. You can kind of see how private it is. You cannot see another house from here, which is what I think is super awesome. All right, now let's take a look at the farther parts of this property. Is this a birdhouse? Wow, it's even got like a real shingle roof on there. I want to get one of these that has like AI and has a camera on it, tells you what kind of birds are there. There's so many birds around here. In fact, we had a friend stay with us a couple weeks ago through the summer camp where I volunteer, this nonprofit, and he came to stay at our house, and he's a professional birder, and he was telling me about like how many birds are around here, and there's like apparently tons of owls. Like we pointed to one tree. He's like, oh, I bet there's owls in that tree. I was like, really? He said, oh, guaranteed, there's a bunch of owls within just a quarter mile of where we live in Burlingame. So that means everywhere here is just tons of birds. Now, you weren't watching my channel to learn about birds, but now you know there's a lot of birds around here. Okay, so we're gonna keep walking around this property. I mean, you can see how far down it goes. There's kind of a fence just on the other side here, but this is what 6/10 of an acre looks like. We're probably, what, 7, 8 feet below the swimming pool here. So this deck was pulled out, and you could actually continue the deck even more if you wanted to, but there's a lot of possibilities what you can do with this space. So could you add an ADU, like an accessory dwelling unit? Yes, you can check out my video that I just put out a couple weeks ago all about accessory dwelling units. I'm a massive fan. The towns are heavily encouraging them because they need to meet their state housing mandate. So these are not that difficult to get built. You can do one up to about 800-ish square feet, depending on the town, but this would be a perfect place for that. Or, I mean, you could do a bocce ball court. Oh wait, let's see what's over here. So we're gonna walk all the way down here and check this out to watch our step. This is, again, totally fine, but someone might wanna come in. Oh, I just saw a lizard. It's like the 4th lizard that we've seen today. This is cool. All right, it's probably a little bit of a stretch to call this a bocce ball court, you guys, but you know, it's much shorter. I guess you could kind of, you don't have to throw the ball that far, but there's a lot of space. I mean, probably wouldn't put a hot tub down here because you already got the pool up there. But again, this could be an ADU. Let's just keep walking to give you an idea how big this place is. My God, let's go all the way down here and check this out. Yeah, this is awesome. And that's the fun thing about Hillsborough. Like, I have another listing right now in the Burlingame Hills, which you can see that one, check out that video. And that's 1.3 acres, but completely different feel in the backyard, right? This has way more flat usable space than that one does. And that's why this price here is, you know, more than 50% more than the other ones. So you kind of have this gate here, and then on the backside, you just have the property's not part of this. And then next door here, kind of here, it sounds like some people are having a pool party and hanging out. Yeah, I mean, this is such a sweet spot. You can kind of see it goes all the way up over here. And when we're talking about landscaping costs, I mean, I guess you don't really have to take care of everything down here if you didn't want to, but I kind of would. I mean, I think I'd come down here and pop up a chair, read a book, read my Kindle, watch something. Who knows? God, this is a massive oak tree. Those might be carnations over there. All right, we've almost done a whole tour here, but I did want you to see this grassy part of the yard, which is cool. Now, look, if you spent more money, could you grass out everything here? Like, let's say you didn't really want a pool. You can typically fill a pool for anywhere for like $30,000 to $50,000 or more just to lose the pool. So if you really were envisioning, like, you could kind of have the steps come down a little bit sooner and then open all this space up. There's a lot that you really could do here if you want it. It's really not necessary, but I feel like there's a lot of possibilities. So if you're looking to buy a home in Hillsborough and this type of yard is something you're interested in, like, let's definitely have a conversation. All my contact info is in the description below. Or if privacy is important for you, let's definitely have a chat about it, because there's so many different nuances to the buying process, like utility poles, cul-de-sacs, noise factors. And let's face it, if you're watching this, you know how expensive the real estate is around here, so let's make sure to absolutely get it right. So I hope you found this walkthrough interesting about the Skyfarm neighborhood in Hillsborough. Value on this home is gonna be right around probably $5 million. I'll be curious to see where it lands, but that's kind of my guess. If you're thinking about making a move anywhere within San Mateo County or the Bay Area, I'd love to be your resource of choice. Give me a call, shoot me a text. All my information is in the description below. And if you're curious to learn more about the differences between Burlingame and Hillsborough, check out this video. I'll see you guys soon.